Hello everyone, I'm Terry Kylo. I'm one of the priests at St. Paul's Episcopal Church in Mount Vernon, Washington. And in this brief video, we're going to discuss a model for congregational development that we're using at St. Paul's in 2011 as we seek to continue our redevelopment as a congregation. We came in contact with this model through the College of Congregational Development, which is a ministry of the Diocese of Olympia, which has done an excellent job of bringing people together to learn different models about how churches develop over time and ways to look at churches. And so we've been going to these classes 4 times a year for 2 days each time, and we've learned a lot. And we want to bring some of that back to you. And we did this presentation at the annual meeting in 2011, but some of you obviously couldn't make it, and so we wanted to be able to offer this on the web so that you could understand how we're looking at St. Paul's as a congregation. What is a model, first off? A model really is a way to suggest ways to look at what we do. It provides a kind of a common language so that we can look at everything that happens in a church through a certain kind of lens that the language suggests. And what we hope is that these models will help us to imagine what we want to focus on. And the first model that we're going to be using at St. Paul's is called the Gather, Transform, and Send model. So first we are gathered by God. Either because we've been around St. Paul's for a long time or because we're new to St. Paul's. And after God gathers us, God brings us together and we are somehow transformed or changed in some way. We are then sent into the world, into our family, into our work life, and we're sent into a particular context, so here in Skagit County or wherever else we happen to live or work. Each one of these sections, Gather, Transform, and Send, have a number of different areas within them. First of all, let's talk about the gathering part. Gathering includes 4 parts: to invite, to greet, to orient, and to incorporate. So the first thing that happens is that we are somehow invited to take part in St. Paul's, or in some new ministry at St. Paul's we hadn't formerly been part of. We're greeted for the first time we come. The first couple times people greet us, and that greeting is very important to whether or not we want to stay. We are oriented. That is, we begin to learn not only where the bathrooms are, where the kitchen is, how the facility is laid out, but how we lead, what the culture's like around here, how we handle questions, or even how we handle conflict. All of those things people kind of slowly become oriented to a congregation. And orientation is how we help them become oriented. And lastly, people are incorporated into the church. And so they're taken from being just visitors into full participants in the life and ministry of the congregation. The second part of this model is the transform. And once again, God works among us to bring change to our life, slowly over time. The baptized life is a life of slow and constant transformation by God. And this transformation happens in many ways. It happens in the Eucharist on Sunday morning, in prayers and sermons, in study, in reflection, in community life. It happens even in the space between sentences, in silence, in moments where we are just still with each other. It happens in service, even vestries and committees and ministries that meet. Those are all transforming places, not just groups that get work done. The space in which we live, the kind of artwork that is in the building, how clean the building is, the way that we move in the space, all are a part of awakening in us a new way to be human outlined in our baptismal covenant. And lastly, the way that we engage conflict with one another, how we understand our differences, our willingness to discuss and even to be vulnerable in the midst of that discussion to other people, all change us in some fundamental ways, so that we can be sent by God back into our family life, our work life, society and civic life, and even church life. Now, often in the past, church life has been the only way that we've talked about the transformation really impacting our life, that we're supposed to come and work only in the church. But really that's only one of 4. It's only one area into which we are sent. And all of these together, the gather, transform, and send, and our context, this model really is a way for us to look at the breadth and depth of what we do as a congregation and to assess our strengths and our weaknesses. And over the coming year in 2011, we're going to be having conversation with the congregation about various portions of the gather, transform, and send model so that we can discern some areas that we want to really work on and become better at and deepen so that we can continue to enjoy our life as part of St. Paul's Episcopal in Mount Vernon, and so that we can participate with God in the healing of all things, which is, after all, why we're here in the first place. Thanks for watching, and you'll see more of this Gather, Transform, and Send model this year at St. Paul's Episcopal Church, and we hope that you join us in that conversation. Thank you.